Look at this. Why does everybody hate real estate? Why does everybody hate wholesalers? Look at this gorgeous guy. Look at that guy. He's mad. He's mad. You get it. That's why everybody hates wholesalers. This is how they feel about wholesalers. The same way this guy does. Are you moving that picture or put it down? I don't know where you put it. 19 tips for out-of-state real estate investors to create $10,000 to $30,000 a month of passive income in Indiana real estate, in the Indianapolis real estate market. This is tip number 6. Do we already have the screen up or is it not showing? Okay. Why does everybody hate wholesalers? Real estate wholesalers. How can I really make $100,000 a month ethically, honestly, without people wanting to defecate on my face? Nearly all wholesalers are degenerate LCs. Here are 5 steps to do it correctly and build a 6-figure monthly business. Couldn't have been a perfect way to say it. And build a 6-figure monthly business from zero. Guys, how's it going? Awesome Mayo, rhymes with KO, bigria.com. Go there now. It's the most beautiful website on the internet. It's basically me in the form of a website. As beautiful and brilliant as me, right? Go to bigria.com. Should I say that right now? We're not supposed to say that, right? Yet? That guy's gone. All right. So many people ask us this. We have so many wholesalers contact us. Guys, you got to watch. I'm going to go over some stories right now. What's happening in the news right now? Laws are changing. If you're a wholesaler, you're just a spammer, right? You're just getting a list from PropStream and spamming people. You're just being just a turd. And now people are getting in big trouble. Lawsuits are starting. You got to listen. About 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. Watch the first 5 minutes of this. This is a new series just for out-of-state passive investors, Indiana real estate investors, for people who are out-of-state, want to invest in Indiana. Really for anybody, but we're putting it on there because it helps with the placement. Who have at least $100,000 cash, great credit in 3 to 5 years. That describes you, and you want to create a passive income in Indiana real estate. You're in a great place. By the way, we're only going to be working with investors for the next 30, 60, maximum, probably 90 days, no more than that, because we're building enough critical mass to get our group going to where they're going to go out and buy 100 properties and pay them off, our special needs group. By the way, this is the project. My friends and I have invented a bunch of ways to buy and sell companies in real estate, hundreds of companies and thousands of real estate deals in about 20 countries. We also, for fun, teach and train other people to do the same stuff to create income ascension, social mobility. I have a son who has special needs, and we created me and Anna created a program, a version of therapy with business building and entrepreneurship skills and life skills to people. And that's a form of therapy. They can learn how to do that stuff and also get better at dealing with their special needs. That's what changed my life. That's what this project is all about, how this started. Go to bigria.com for all the information, all the different companies we're working with, things we're doing. Real estate's one part of that. Creating passive income in real estate, getting to $30,000 a month. Nobody on earth has gotten more people to $10,000, $30,000 a month from zero than we have. I'm beautiful and brilliant, basically, translation, all that stuff. You got to check it out. Go to bigria.com right now. First, if you want to get to $30,000 a month, first you need to have $100,000. If you want to be a passive investor, there's 2 kinds of investors, right? We train active investors too. If you're broke and you're hungry, you got to develop your hustle muscle, get out there and make it happen. Have a specific passive income goal or target. How much money do you want to make? You should understand liquidity, productivity, go through our previous classes. You should have a target and acquisition plan. You should say, I want to make $30,000 a month in passive income, and here's my plan. Here's how many deals, how many assets I need to acquire. What's the difference between passive and active investing? Lead generation, lead conversion, building your fan base. If you're not generating leads, you're going to be a passive investor. You're going to hire someone to do that. That's why it's important you understand how well they generate leads right now, because the better they generate leads, the better business they're going to do with them. People go out and find LCs and they wonder why they don't perform. LCs, you should be able to go to somebody's website. If you're going to be a passive investor, you're going to stay at your house and just write checks. You're hiring that team. Go to their website and you should be impressed. Time. The single most important thing you'll ever ask yourself is, how will I spend my time today? The single most important thing you'll do with your time, financially speaking, is to create passive income. Remember that. You've got limited time, man. Your life is a melting block of ice, man. You got to get serious. You got to get hungry. We call this the T3, your team, targets, and deadline. I should be able to call anybody on your team right now, and I should be able to ask them, once I say your name, they should say, oh yeah, he's trying to make $30,000 a month. Here's the timeline. We have the target. They should be able to say that in one sentence. They should be able to communicate that to you in one sentence. We need to acquire 2 assets like this per quarter. There should be a plan that you're working from. If you're not doing that, you're not going to like what happens. It all comes down to how you build your team. Remember, passive income is equity plus production. In one sentence, if you want to make $10,000 a month, that's $1.5 million at 8%, meaning you need to buy houses that are 1% houses, because that'll produce how much per year? How much will a 1% house produce per year? 12%, right? And if we just use very, very conservative numbers, not 3 out of 4, not 8 out of 10, like a bank will use, they'll use normally 8.6 to 9.4, right around that range, 8.5 to 9.5. We're going to go 8%, 66%, 2 out of $3. You're going to keep 8%. That means you need $1.5 million worth of houses that are 1% houses. 1% houses are generally going to be 100, 150,000. If you're going to duplex, it's going to be 200, 250,000. In other words, you could get there in 6 to 10 houses. And go through our deal dissection series. We have heroes that are acquiring 3, 4, 5 properties in less than 90 days, doing our money recycler, using the Burr and a series of other resources. So you can get the potential equity to make a passive income of $10,000 a month at light speed if your team is hungry and if they're serious. By the way, if you want to apply, go to bigria.com. You can apply. If we're still working with investors, you can apply to become an investor. You got to be something special. You got to bring something special to the table, I tell you. All right. Nearly all wholesalers generate LCs. Go through our previous passive income. That's the same thing I said before. You got to warn me. I thought we were using a different sign. Oh my gosh. Did you put Mr. Gorgeous all the way down? Wow. All right, guys. The previous passive income tips for Indiana real estate investors. Tip 1 is get realtors to bring you 25K deals. How to pay off your rentals in 3 to 5 years. Tip number 3 was Burr explained explain how to buy 20 rentals for 50 grand. My gosh, how beautiful and brilliant can a human being be? I am pushing the boundaries. I know. Tip 4, how many houses do you need to make 30 grand a month? I just actually went over that right now because just multiply that by 30 or by 3 and you get there, right? How to turn $10,000 into over 100 grand on a single deal using the power of leverage. Those are all previous classes. They're all free. Go to bigria.com. Have I mentioned that yet? So what is wholesaling? Then I'm going to go into some laws that are changing. Investors buy low and sell high, right? A wholesaler buys really low and sells high. So let's say you have a house. A seller wants to sell a house in your market, a pretty house. They have basically two options. First, they go for sale by owner. Seller puts a sign in the yard. Why is it so easy to get rich in real estate? In America, at least, because, or any free market, is because it's the only business where the leads advertise. They go out and they point signs themselves. It's easy, as long as you're trained. The seller puts a sign out, or they go for sale by owner, then they find a buyer or renter. That's one approach that they have. Another approach they have is that where are we going to put Mr. Gorgeous? Put him up here. Put him up there. They go to a realtor. The realtor puts it on the market. Then the realtor finds a buyer or seller, right? These are the two options for a normal pretty house. Now, what about an ugly house? A house that they're not going to pay to get up and look nice and pretty like me. How's my skin stuff doing? Guys, it's doing better. Thank you so much for the emails, by the way. I appreciate it. It gets a little bit crazy sometimes. Blood, craziness, nastiness. I try not to shoot at those times. I get a little self-conscious about it, but I appreciate it so much. One of the comments was talking about how, it doesn't matter because it's such life-changing, inspiring stuff that it doesn't matter how I look, which I should say, I think you mean that you're not distracted by my sexual magnetism so much that you can't pay attention to all the brilliance, which I appreciate. Off-market, ugly houses, seller has two options. If they're not going to fix it up, right, they're not going to make it look pretty, which, by the way, you guys checking out what Open Door is doing? They're taking over the world, man. They're doing to real estate what Uber did to taxis and what Airbnb did to hotels, right? They're making offers at 96, 97, sometimes 98% of asking price, and it's not even an asking price. They're sending letters. Go to realtor.com, search any address now. You see Open Door down there right now. They are revolutionizing this entire process. They're saying, listen, you don't need to fix up anything. You don't even need to pay to move. We're going to hire someone to move. We're going to come in, look at your property, and pay cash for it today. It's crazy, right? They're serious people, man. There are some geniuses over there. Awesome male level brilliance over there. Ugly house is a seller, goes to an investor, goes to a buyer or renter. This would be where Open Door would fit in as an investor, but that's the example. The seller goes to an investor, then go to a buyer. That's one option that they have. Now, here's where the wholesaler comes in. The wholesaler comes in between the seller and the investor, right? Now, every one of these cases, what do we have to find? We have to find a buyer and a renter. So keep that in mind. That's when we talk about the lender agent model. The best way to monopolize any market is to be marketing for buyers and renters at all times, because then you have your finger on the pulse. You know what's happening. And unless you're doing this, you really are not going to be a very good wholesaler. And this is why everyone hates wholesalers. And yes, they should, because wholesalers are a bunch of LCs. They don't have any information. Today, I promise you this. If you want to wholesale, you're going to know how to wholesale like a badass. Like I said, the only thing that matters is not how many followers I have, how many views I've got, 1,000 a day, 1,500 a day across all social media, 100 downloads a day in 30 countries. No big deal. I'm just saying, largest real estate media company in the entire Midwest. Just say no big deal, right? But none of that's, honestly, I only say that because I know other people think that's impressive. It doesn't mean anything. All that means something is when someone listens to me, listens to us, and they start from zero, what happens? And there's nobody with a better track record of training people to get into wholesaling than we are. I always say, don't get into wholesaling to get into wholesaling. Do it as a stepping stone to start collecting equity, because there's not really equity in wholesaling, at least the way most people do it. But you follow the steps I'm going to talk about today, and I promise you will get to 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month, 50 grand a month, 100 G's a month, like it ain't no thing. And you'll do it smartly, intelligently, and you'll be able to convert that money into equity and have much bigger deals. I'm going to cover it right now. But first, is it really that bad? I just said that wholesalers are a bunch of degenerate LCs. That's great verbiage, by the way. I appreciate it. No need to change it. I like it. I agree with it. Is it really that bad? Are they really creating that many problems? You know what? Not to take a victory lap here, although every time I say something, it's right? Every prediction I make. I said for so long, the problem in real estate is we don't have an immune system. Our immune system should be too strong to keep these LC wholesalers around, but it's not, is it? Absolutely not. Actually, we invited them in, and now the zombies have taken over. Check out some of this. These are laws. I don't care who you are. If you're in real estate anyway, these laws affect you. Check this out. This is Colorado's law. This is all recently. They just actually made this even worse now about wholesaling and assigning transactions. You know what? I'm going to skip that. There's one in Oklahoma now. This one actually got shut down, but look at what they're calling it. Predatory Real Estate Wholesaling Prohibition Act. That's what they're calling it. Predatory investing. Where's the other one? Okay, so new city law crackdown on real estate wholesalers. See, is explained underinformed property owners. This in Philadelphia. These, by the way, everything I'm referring to here are actual active legislation. The one in Oklahoma got shot down, but that's not good. They're actually bringing another one up that's even more strict. This, where's the other one? The other one. Where do we put Mr. Gorgeous? Where did we put him? Are we putting him back at the top? You could control it. Okay, guy, do we have the other? There was one. So this is one in Illinois. There's a whole bunch of them, but this is the one. Okay, what is happening now? ATL, check this out. There's a link to all this stuff. Go to the Big Rio link below, and I'm going to link to all these articles. You can go check them out. You can go check out. This is the actual law. Again, this is not an article talking about it. This right here is the actual law that is officially law in Atlanta right now, and what they're going to eventually have all throughout Georgia. Basically, what this says, should go read this because you're not going to believe this. This is called commercial harassment is the term they're using. And one of the people they had stand up and actually testify to this is a woman who said she changed her number like 7 times, 8 times, and she's getting 400 text messages a day, 200 voicemails, 200 phone calls. She can't even use her phone because she's getting so many calls. Why? Because these dickhead wholesalers, right? These pile of feces wholesalers who go and I'm gonna my virtual assistant. I'm gonna virtual wholesale. Guys, there's an effect. Our immune system was too weak as real estate investors, and people in the real estate community didn't do a good job. Plus, not every realtor is an LC too, right? People didn't do a good job. Now, this law says this commercial harassment, you guys got to go check this out. They're saying that if anyone gives you the first version was if they don't give you a positive response. So meaning anything that's not a yes is a no. That's considered a no. Now they're saying anything that's not, if they're like, yeah, maybe later, that's still a no. And once you get that no, for 180 days, 180 period, no implications use predatory tactics defined as repeated or unsolicited attempts within any 180 period to contact a person or entity, including via personal visits, written material, anything goes in the mail, any postcards, letters, or anything, or similar means under circumstances where the person or entity has affirmatively requested the defendant or the defendants agree to refrain from such activity. Again, they're not saying the way they're wording this, is it down there, is it lower beneath it? They're not saying that the person says stop contacting me. No, if they say no to the initial, so if you talk to somebody like, hey, you want to sell your house for 50 grand, they're like, maybe later, not right now. That's considered no. If you email them, if you text them, if you send them a postcard, you guys, it's punishable by up to, I think it's 6 months in jail and $10,000 and $1,000 per infraction, $10,000 it could be or $10,000 per infraction, something like that. Crazy. There are different versions of this bill. Guys, this law, I'm not telling you something that they're gonna pass. Go check this out. This has passed. This is what happens when dickheads don't listen to me, right? That's, maybe this is slightly beyond Isles of Mayo, right? But you guys, this is what happens when you spam people. That's all these wholesalers are doing. They go, they buy these lists from PropStream of homeowners that have 70%, they had their house for 10 years or 15 years. They have 70% equity. They get their VA from the Philippines or somewhere else to dial them, call them up all the time. Would you be interested in selling your home? If I open a hair salon and I got the white pages, I got the phone book, and I texted everyone there, said, hey, do you want to get your haircut? 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 Eventually, you're going to find someone's like, I don't know, I guess, maybe. But, and then I'm like, oh, I got a hot lead, you guys. No, this is not how a business should work. And if you're doing this, which every single wholesaler we talk to just about is, you should just ask yourself, go look at your voicemails. 99% of the voicemails that you're getting are people telling you to go fuck yourself. They're telling you to eat shit and die. They're telling you to go to hell. They're telling you to quit worshiping Satan and quit being a child molester. By the way, hit like, by the way. This tells the child molesters at Google, speaking of which, that this video did a good job. It really does make a big difference. You don't need to subscribe, especially if you don't watch this stuff. Only subscribe if you love this stuff and you go through every video. But if you get anything out of this, you should hit like. And you're getting a lot out of this. If you want to wholesale, guys, I'm going to help you out here. But I want to explain the problem first and the ramifications. What happens? Oh, Mr. Gorgeous was in the way. Put him down there. All right. So the ramifications of this, you guys, you can't be LCs and expect nothing to happen. When we don't do anything about this, the spamming, this is what's going to happen. Now it's illegal for anybody to contact and I think they've got the first people now that they're going after. This is in Atlanta. This is not a joke. We are acting. I know a lot of, gurus are up in arms about this, but here's the thing. We're going to lose every fight, or they're going to lose. I shouldn't say we. I'm not a wholesaler. I wouldn't identify with them, but this is going to happen across the country. We're actually working with the Attorney General's office in Indiana for similar legislation. What awesome. I know. Listen, we're in a place right now where technology is slightly above the law, right? Slightly beyond, slightly past the law. Anytime that happens, it's up to the people in that community to be the immune system. If they don't do that, the government's going to catch up. And when they catch up, they don't just catch up to the law. They go way beyond it. Things like you can't send a letter, right? Or that's illegal. That's pretty crazy. But that's what's going to happen. Right now, we're doing interviews with homeowners and property owners in Indianapolis, and we're giving those interviews to the Attorney General. We're doing them with them and the Attorney General's office, and people are the same things happening. 200-300 messages a day that they're getting texts, voicemails. Guys, why am I spending so much time on this? Don't fucking do this. This is bullshit. It's not any way to build your business. It's not the way you should not be building your business this way. It's not sustainable. And every single day we're getting texts from people, I want to be a host. No, you don't. You just heard that you can make 10 grand spamming a list. That's not the way it's supposed to work. And you know what they're going to start doing now, and I think they already did this the first round in Illinois, is when you send out a text, right? Your VA, little dickhead team that you got, they're going to do a subpoena. When somebody gets a text and they raise their flag, a property owner, then what's going to happen is the state is going to do a subpoena then to find out. So you might think, because everyone uses Gmail, right? Because once you have Gmail, you can just spam as much as you want. They're going to subpoena Google, or they're going to subpoena whatever program you're using. They're going to give your information. You're only one phone call away. You're not protected. Then once they got your information, that's who they're going to come after. Whatever state you're in, wherever they are, the jurisdiction goes anywhere. You can be anywhere in the country, they're coming after you. Guys, the point is, if you do not listen to me right now, I promise you, I've seen this happen before. I've been through 3 or 4 corrections. Like when technology is ahead of the law and we don't fix ourselves, the law is going to catch up and go way beyond where it should be. And this is not a bad thing. wholesaling. And you might be thinking, well, what about realtors? Because this law is so broad, you might think, well, this isn't going to stand. Who's going to fight it? The realtors are organized. Check this out. What's the verbiage like? Do we have that? Yes. Notice the language on those laws. Who's doing it? Illinois Real Estate License Act was initiated by the Illinois Association of Realtors, part of the National Association of Realtors. There's no wholesaling. There's no organization for wholesaling. If you want to, who would speak out against this? Some random Instagram influencer who puts pictures of those Lamborghinis. Like, where's the Wholesale and Real Estate Investor Wholesaling Association? Right? There's not one. The realtors are organized, they're funded, and they're actually influencing this actual legislation. That's why they are, if you check out any of those laws, they are generally, if you have a license, you're not going to get in trouble. So they're protected. The new legislation requires a fee, specific disclosures, and adherence to a strict code of ethics that was endorsed by the Greater Philadelphia Association of Realtors. Basically, they weren't able to say you have to have a real estate license, but you have to get some license to do that. And it's the realtors that are ones writing these laws. They hate the wholesalers just like everyone else. And they're the ones that are pushing for these laws. Oklahoma proposed a new bill called the Predatory Real Estate the Predatory Real Estate Wholesaling Prohibition Act. This is how they're talking about wholesaling. Guys, if you're a wholesaler, make no mistake, you are on the chopping block and you got to change. You got to do better. You can't be doing the same LC stuff. I'm not complaining about any of this stuff. This is what's going to happen. And so many people, almost every single person, if you look up wholesaling, how to wholesale, and there's guys selling $10,000 courses telling you the same I just told you the entire process. Spam people, eventually somebody will respond and then move that to a local investor. That's not how to build a business, you guys. It's not nice. It's not right. Don't be doing that. It's not good. Where's Mr. Gorgeous going? Did you put him on the other side? All right. So top 3 reasons everybody hates wholesalers. Number 1, they don't provide enough or any value. Without the wholesaler, you could do the deal and it'd be just fine. There's right now, man, this is so crazy. It's insane. Just go to any Facebook group and join and see what people are putting on wholesale properties. Search that property. You're going to see it for sale for 4 or 5 different prices. It's like nobody has permission to be doing that. And if you call one wholesaler, you'd be paying $5,000, $10,000 more than if you just called the realtor that listed the property because it's probably on the market, or another wholesaler. What's the difference? There is no difference. So anytime a wholesaler calls you, and for the people who think that I'm being too harsh on wholesalers, how do you feel when you get a voicemail and someone says I'm a wholesaler? It's like you're rolling your eyes just like we are. We get, at least from this channel, we get probably 5 or 10. We get maybe 20 or altogether about maybe 30 or 35 calls and texts a day. It's why please don't call, text Anna. And about, I'd say at least 5 or 10 of those every day are wholesalers. Which ones do you think we call back last? We want to make sure everyone gets a response, but they're just the worst. They don't have any value. There's nothing they bring to the table. Number 2, they don't disclose info or they flat out lie. Now you might think, well, realtors do that. Yeah, but the realtors are organized, right? These are the 3 reasons. Don't do these 3 things and you'll immediately be a much better wholesaler. Number 1, if I were to ask you, why should you be involved with the deal? Why should I pay you 10, 15 grand for this deal? You should be able to have a real reason, value that you bring. So that's number 1. They don't provide enough value, so make sure you provide value. Number 2, they don't disclose info. They flat out lie. They'll be like, oh, the property's worth $250. It's not worth $250. You know it's only worth $210. They constantly do this. Realtors do that too. 3, they are illegally lazy. Wholesalers, they make realtors look ambitious. It's crazy. Don't be an LC. It ruins everything. So if you want to do this correctly, and I know people are going to freak out and jump all over me and start to, oh man, they're going to just go crazy on me. This, like I said, when you hear me say something and it's like, well, Azam, nobody else is saying that, or my Instagram influencer doesn't say that. Yeah, well, he's a dickhead. And so are you for listening to him, because you know what he's doing? He's the reason why sending a letter can get you 6 months in jail. Guys, if you want to do this seriously, whenever I say something or someone else says something, you have to have a measure, a criteria to gauge. Like, I'm hearing these things, like, how do I know what's brilliant and what's dog shit, right? You have to have a measure. Like I said, the most important measure is not how many likes or followers or how good looking or whatever. None of that stuff matters, right? The only thing that matters is one thing, and that is when people listen to you and they start from zero, what happens? Again, we have more people who've gotten to 10 to 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 grand a month and beyond, well beyond, starting from zero, than any other human beings on the planet. And by the way, just go to bigria.com. It's all free. There's all this stuff is insane. We command giving away a ton. I only say that because what I'm going to say right now sounds like a bunch of fucking work, awesome. I don't want to do it. Again, do it. You'll see results. Don't do it. And you're going to be a dickhead. And you're going to be one of the reasons why you might get hit up with a $10,000. Imagine if you sent out 100 texts today and you got hit with $10,000. And that is what they do. They're going to come after people in hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, oh my gosh, right? Sounds crazy. They're not expecting to collect it. They're going to make an example out of somebody. Look in your area. Who are they making an example out of right now? Maybe nobody. They're looking for someone to make an example out of. It's going to be you if you're not careful. So here are the relationships that you need. I know it's like, oh my gosh, relationships sounds like work. This is work. All right. If it's work, I should say if it is work for you, don't do it. So we have 3 parts here: before, during, and after. So before, right before you buy the property, you need to know you need to get a scope of work done on your wholesale deal. So when an investor calls you, we wholesale deals all the time, which is kind of weird for me to be saying that after all this stuff. What we're doing is we're buying deals all the time, right? Our group is buying deals constantly. When we work with an investor, all we're doing is substituting them. We're saying, you know what, this is a deal we were going to close on next Thursday, but you're ready to go, so we'll scoot you in. Everything else moves forward the same way. Every single wholesale deal, hear me now, if you're a good wholesaler, right? I don't want to use that term, term, but that's what everyone's using. Every deal that you move should be a deal that you would buy at that price, no questions asked. Now you're thinking, if that was your mom's money, would you do it? Well, how would you know? Do you have a scope of work? Do you have a contract or general contractor that went and signed legally binding agreement for a scope of work? Do you have that? And if you don't, you need to have contractors and people on your team that can go out and give you a scope of work quickly, 24 hours on the property. Number 2, realtors. You need to have realtors on your team that can do comps quickly, that can pull up other listings. As soon as you go to a property, an area, you want to contact every realtor in that area and start doing, if nothing else, buyer trades, right? Let's share buyers, let's share renters, because you're always going to need buyers and renters. Again, as a whole, how many wholesalers have relationships that can get you a scope of work in 24 hours? How many wholesalers can have realtors on their team? Inspection. Remember I talked about how to close fast? You got to get inspections done really quickly. You got to get the inspection and scope of works we usually get done within 24 hours, maximum 24 hours. So the inspection, as a wholesaler, do you have relationships with inspectors? Of course not. Hard money lenders. When an investor comes to you, you should not only be able to help them get the deal and tell them how much it's going to cost, but you should be able to get them all the funding they need. Appraisals are really important. You got to be able to get not only the appraisal. We don't work with any lenders unless they use our appraisals, which sounds kind of weird, but we don't, because our appraisals are good. They're solid. We've marketed other properties there. And so you're going to get about 3 or 4, sometimes 5 appraisals for one deal. First, you get the appraisal. If you're closing on hard money, they're going to do an appraisal, right? Then second, you may have one if you're going to have a buyer or somebody else that's involved, you might have a second one, but you're at least going to have 2. So because the second one's going to be when you go to refinance or when you go to sell. If you're going to refinance like Bird, do the money recycler, they're going to have an appraiser too. We often use the same appraiser. We go to our hard money lender. We say, look, here's the appraiser to use. Here's the appraiser here's our team. Pick one of these 3 or 5 guys because they're solid. They're on it. Then we go to the lender. We say the same thing for the refinance. Pick one of these 3 to 5 guys. They're solid. They're on it. If that's a problem for them to pick our appraiser, we don't work with them. Again, that's what you need to have. Do you as a wholesaler have these relationships? Are you working with a wholesaler that does? If you're not, it's an LC. Stay away from them because they're doing dickhead stuff. You see what I'm saying? This is not just spamming people. If you want to make 10, 15, 20 grand a day, this is what you need to have in place. Contractors. Again, the same people that can do that scope of work, but also individual subcontractors. You should know HVAC guys, flooring guys. You should be able to say, not that you know everything. I'm kind of learning this on my own right now. Like I was not a big construction guy, but I am getting more into that right now, especially commercial general contracting. I'm not into that stuff, but it is like you should be able to look at a raw lot of land and you don't know everything about it, but you know who to hire, right? To build a house or to build a duplex or to build an apartment building or whatever, right? If you want to wholesale, like I said, you need to be able to provide a scope of work, have realtors, inspectors, hard money lenders, appraisers, and contractors. You should have relationships with each of these people. If you don't, you're not going to go very far. And I know, my guy, no, your guy on Instagram's a dickhead. He's the reason why you're going to go to jail and zombies are going to gnaw your genitals off in the middle of the night. During buying. Okay, so this was before buying. You need to have all this stuff done. Now, what about while you're buying? Now you need to have a general contractor. You should be able to have several of these on your team and you should know who the people are and they can go out and quickly do the job. Subcontractors, again, like I just talked about, you should know a flooring guy, a roofing guy. Roofers just roof, flooring guys do flooring. There's a few other people that are very specific, but then like other guys just do miscellaneous. They can do like windows and drywall and stuff like that. You got to know this stuff, do you or not? You can look at a property. One thing I'll say real quickly, I appreciate and love you guys so much. I just want to say, if you have no idea about construction, I used to do this. I'd have 3 categories. Category 1 is basically paint, carpet, little exterior. It's usually going to be 3 to 5, maybe 10 grand worth of work. Phase 2 means there's bathrooms involved. Anytime you have bathrooms, it's going to be at least 5, 10, 15 grand. Then the worst type for phase 3, or not the worst, but the most work is kitchen. So if you have bathrooms and kitchens, if you're doing the first, you're doing the group 1, the category 1, where you're doing the paint, carpet, the exterior, and on top of that bathrooms, that's group 2, group 3 is the kitchens. You're looking at least 15, 25 grand. That's what I used to use. I got really far just using that little metric. You can start with that, but then you got to get more serious. You got to know who the subcontractors are. A hard money lender draws. You got to be able to have a relationship with that inspector who comes out and does the draws. I know this sounds a little bit weird, but when you talk to them, it's sometimes things they may not be as familiar with, certain property types or certain areas or what common practices are in that area. So we tell them up front all the time when we talk to our hard money lenders, all of our people, we tell them, listen, we're flipping houses right now. We're renting houses right now. We let them know all the stuff we're doing. We've got, apartment buildings here, businesses here. We let them know, hey, don't question us. That's the whole point. And if you are working with someone that doesn't have relationships like that, you might think you're getting a hard money draw, but you know what? No, the drywall is not up correctly. This isn't up to code or this isn't up. They may be wrong, but you got to have that relationship. There's so many, by the way, every one of these things, look up in your area how many investors are pissed that they bought a property from a wholesaler or from a realtor. And one of these issues became an issue that's now a deal breaker. And they've got this, they thought they were going to make 50 grand. Now they're going to lose 30 grand. It happens every day. If you want to be a good wholesaler, hear me now, have to do this. If you don't do this, you're going to be a dog shit wholesaler and you'll be on a cryptocurrency or Forex trading or OnlyFans or whatever, the NFTs or trying to build a metaverse with Facebook. Man, you're just going to be a dickhead. Take it seriously. Build these relationships. Number 2, buyers and renters. As soon as you have every wholesaler should have buyers and renters for every property. You should be able to say, with a wholesaler, you should be able to say, listen, here's a property. I got 70 renters that want to rent for $900 in that area right now. And I'm actually moving them to other property managers. I'm moving them to other realtors. I'm moving them to other landlords in that area. Because what am I doing? I'm building relationships, right? The only thing that, I guess we'll talk about that in a second. There's only two things that a wholesaler can do. You have to be able to either generate leads that nobody else has or build relationships that nobody else has. Number two is property management companies. We work with these people all the time, especially if you're doing any kind of BRRRR. You should know every property management company in that area, in that market. After buying. So what do we do after the buying? This is the refinance team. Like I said earlier, you need to know who the appraisers are. You need to know when they refinance that property, they're going to refinance it at 80%. You got to have, man, I know I'm just like, I'm already like, no one's doing this. I know. It's like, fuck that. I'll click, let me go watch a porn. Nobody's watching this now because it sounds like work. You've got to have fun building these relationships. That's exactly what we do right now. When we set this up as an assignment, every time I sit down, less people are here today because we're getting closer to the long weekend. But guys, when we sit down, this is one of the reasons why we always say, look, if you can have fun with dialogue, if you can have fun going out and talking to people and helping people, that's all you need to do. Because that's all this is. You're just building friends, building long-term relationships. Management, you need to have property management if you're not doing it yourself. New appraisals, you need to know exactly how that's going to get done. You need to be able to tell people, listen, if we are not able to talk to the underwriter, if we're not able to pick our appraiser, then we don't work with you. You need to be able to listing agents, you need to know how to list a property. Title companies, you got to be on top of what title companies to close quickly. Every deal, your wholesaler should know exactly what title companies to use. Now people say, well, what about virtual wholesaling? That's all BS. It's not. I know people like, oh man, I've been doing this. We invented the process. I believe we did the first ever event of buying houses remotely, buying and selling houses, not wholesaling. I don't even think that was a term at the time. But we're doing like lease options and actual closing. We'd write offers, but the offer would be directions for their title company. So when we would make offers on properties, we'd tell people, go to this bank, go to this title company, and you can pick up your check today. Now it would be in a holding account for like 48, 72 hours or whatever. But basically all that offer is instructions for the title company, right? So we would tell buyers to go do that. I'm just saying that this is something we did a long time ago before people had emails and stuff like that back in my day, right? But I'm just saying that I'm someone who's, if we didn't invent it, we certainly pioneered it. And I'm telling you, it's what you hear people saying is all horseshit online. Oh, I'm virtually wholesaling across the country. It's just so they could sound cool, right? It's not what's happening. We're doing all kinds of deals in Vietnam, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, right? But that market is so insane. You've got to be like, it's just like, it's like Forex trading, right? It's completely nuts. I would never recommend a normal person with like Western sensibilities or Western conservatism. Like they actually want to like have 8% a year. That's not the market for you. That's where it's like 8% a day sometimes, right? But again, you don't hear us talking about that because it just, that's just to stroke your ego. You got to have one market. All these are things you should have in that market. You're a wholesaler, or as a wholesaler, you need to build these relationships, or don't move on, go set up an OnlyFans page because it doesn't work in my area. Awesome. So here's how the LCs will try to wholesale, right? Number one, they just spam. That's all they do. They're going to go to PropStream or some other site like that. They're going to buy a list of homeowners property owners that have owned the property for more than 10 years, 15 years, whatever, and have 70% equity, which is never true. But and then they're going to just start spamming them. They're going to send them unsolicited emails, texts, calls, voicemails, get your VA to do it. Eventually someone's going to respond. Out of the sea of go fuck yourselves, there's going to be one person that's like, I don't know, maybe. But they're getting hounded by like 50 people too, 100 people too. It's crazy, man. You hire a VA. It's all done subtractively. But I have systems that run my business. Okay, awesome. It's all nonsense, man. This is why the laws are changing. They bring no secret weapon to the game. They have nothing. They have no reliability, no uniqueness, no commitment, no value. They're just LCs, man. And I know I'm talking about pretty much every one of you that's a wholesaler. This is exactly what you're doing. And you probably paid tens of thousands from some dickhead that showed you how to do it. Guys, this is not the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to just spam people and call it a system or call them a marketing genius. Remember, there's only three ways. Thanks for spelling that. Of equity creation. Okay, number one, they almost have no knowledge of the market or specific. All those people I just talked about, the relationships, they don't have those relationships. By the way, I'm going to tell you how to build those. Don't worry. But those are the people that you need to build out your 77s, right? Think about it this way. You tell me your 77s, tell me your A pile, and I'll tell you how much money you're going to make. Remember, there's only three ways of creating equity. Number one is we pay down debt. Number two is we increase production or increase income, the production, or we increase the asset value. What are you doing when you're wholesaling? There's only one thing you're doing at best. That's increase the income of what though? You don't have an asset. You could say the business, but really if all you're doing is spamming, where's that? Where's the business, you guys? There's no business building, right? To wholesale correctly, you need to do one of these two things. This is kind of our test here. Answer these questions. It tells you how good of a wholesaler you are. Number one, are you generating leads that nobody else has? Yes or no? Are you doing that? Number two, have you built relationships that nobody else has? And that's it. If you haven't done one or both of those things, you're just an LC. You're just wasting everybody's time. You have to do one or two of these things. You have to be able to generate leads that nobody else has or build relationships. By the way, when you can do both, oh my gosh, you're not going to need a wholesale because you can just do the project yourself. And you might be thinking that, awesome, if I did all that, I might as well do the deal myself. That's right. That's why serious wholesalers don't stay wholesalers. They do a hybrid or they stop wholesaling altogether, or maybe they do it to help people out. Because like right now, when we work with an investor, as any of them will tell you, we're doing them a huge favor. We don't need them. We don't need money. We're good. But it is important when you're good at something, to help people, income ascension. This is the coolest thing. We really started doing this passive income stuff more often now. And we're getting people there at breakneck speed with this new project, this new configuration, but it's really cool stuff. All right. How do you find these people easily for free, very easy. We call it Google 5-page. Search for any term, go 5 pages deep on Google. Nobody does. People don't even go. There's a famous quote, where's the best place to hide a dead body? The second page of Google. Nobody goes there. So if you go 5, you're already building your nobody mountain, going further than anybody else will. 19 ways to find your 77s. Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, search.twitter.com. This is crazy. How many people are talking about blank in your area? Just go to search.twitter.com. It's the closest thing to that. Type in property management, wholesaling, hard money loans in your area, whatever. And everyone that's talking about that will come up. Bigger Pockets, Facebook groups, YouTube, Yahoo, Bing, title companies, county records, signs. These are our actual policies. We're starting to kind of franchise the big re-up model. These are the actual process here. Online sponsored ads. Whenever you just type in don't click on those ads because it's going to cost them money, but you can see the website, go to the websites, contact those people. We're going to go over the emails in the text to send them, by the way. How ironic. Start spamming them, right? Don't spam them. The MLS, Realtor.com, property management companies, Craigslist, hard money loans. We get probably, I don't know, I was just doing the math on this. Over the year, it's about 15 to 20 grand a week, 15, 20 grand a week that Anna's made this the whole last year from hard money lenders sending clients because they're so blown away, sending investors or sending deals because they know that we can take care of it, that she can absorb that in. So when someone's having problems, they can say, listen, if you're having problems with a deal, we've got someone who can handle any deal in the Midwest. And we're getting deals that way. That's how she's getting deals. BigRia.com/people is another example. If you want to know how to really build a nobody mountain, that page, we start talking about how much money that page makes. There's probably 5, 6 people who are making part-time to full-time income just using that page at BigRia.com/people. The number of calls that we get of those, I didn't even include probably like 3 to 5 calls a day, much less calls than on the other side. But those calls, it's like at least, we're talking about it's like at least another 10, 15 grand a week that comes from that collectively, from that people page. Because when you build those relationships I talked about and you start sharing those relationships with other people, and now every week people are asking us to be put on that page. Not that difficult to do, guys, if you just take it seriously. So Mr. Gorgeous, where's Mr. Gorgeous at? All right, we're going to go, we have to move it again. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be. All right, 5 steps to get to 100 grand a month. This is like the meat of this stuff, right? So number 1, make a list of people above that I just talked about, all those people you need before, during, and after. Make a list of those people and contact at least one person a day from one of those people. Could be anyone. Ask them, tell them exactly what you're doing. Look, I'm just looking at getting in touch. Actually, we have an email that we use, right? Yeah. 2, do a GXM and see one deal fully thoroughly from start to finish. Nobody's gonna do step 1, but definitely nobody's gonna do this. You want to do something, you want to get masterful at something, volunteer. Do it for free until you develop a very high level of skill with it. So that's number 1 is get in touch with these people. Number 2, and we're gonna give you the emails. By the way, my gosh, how nice. Unbelievable. This is the exact emails that we're using right now to do this. Number 2 is do a GXM. This is exactly what we do with everything we do. Just go and volunteer. Remember, enthusiasm makes up for everything. Just go be an eager beaver. You just want to, can I be your water boy? Can I shine your shoes? Can I pick up your dry cleaning? Don't swallow your ego. Don't let your pride get in the way. You really want to learn this business. You've got to know everything from the ground up. Number 3, repeat. And each time take one thing off their plate. So you just want to go through steps 1 through 3 here. Talk to a hard money lender and volunteer to, be a fly on the wall. Hey, do you need me to go, get documents notarized? Do you need me to do this, that? The next time you go to this iteration, take one thing off their plate. Do one thing completely as well as they're doing it, right? Go to a contractor, same thing. Get a scope of work. Look at a scope of work, line by line items, and talk to one of their subcontractors, just one subcontractor. Say, you know what? I'm just looking at talking to a roofer. How would I work with a roofer? We have probably, I don't know how many interviews that Anna's done because she's getting really good at this construction stuff too. And it's really gotten me excited about it. That's why I've looked into it too. But I don't even think we put up all those interviews. A lot of those interviews we're doing right now, private, because we're going to use that as a franchise. It's a whole nother thing we're doing. But it's one of the reasons why not all the videos are public, because I know people are going to be like, well, you already had subscribers and you had pay-per-click. So we're saying, no, this is only traffic that came from people we talked to. I'm going to go over this real quickly. What I just covered is a huge gem, how we're building our team. So let's say we want to go to we're building a few shopping malls now, retail stores now, commercial stuff, right? So we start interviewing one commercial contractor. We say, do we have a flooring guy that we can talk to, a roofing guy that I can talk to? A quick little, quick interview over Zoom, 15, 20 minutes, because I want to learn this stuff too. That's what we're telling this guy. That's true. So then Anna or whoever on our team, actually you've done a couple interviews yourself, do these interviews with these flooring guys, roofing guys who they've never been interviewed in their lives. But what are you doing? You're asking them questions that you genuinely have, right? This is like you're getting a PhD. Then you take that interview and you say to the next person, whoever, say, by the way, I'm really new in construction. I'm learning it myself. I don't know if you are as well. If you want, I could send you a couple of these interviews that I've done with like roofers or contractors if you want to learn that stuff. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I definitely want to check it out. I want to see the different tips or things I can learn to pick up and absorb, better practices from different subcontractors. And so now, even though a video might only get like 4 or 5 views, those are very high quality views because they're people you talk to, and it just builds more momentum and you get a great relationship with this person because now they're a 77. They're definitely going to check their email. You interviewed them and like made them a little mini famous, right? It's a really cool process to not only build your team, but also from that you get deals because a roofer has a deal that he's not totally ready for. He doesn't have money for. A general contractor just wants to get the work. So those guys can bring you deals all day long. These two mall deals that we got came from a general contractor that came to us. Actually, you had brought them, and you have one that has 4 deals. So we have one contractor that's bringing 4 deals. These are like, it's over like $1.2 million of business that the guy brought to us because he said, listen, I'm bringing you you the deal. Just hire me and my crew to do the work because he doesn't have the money. And we can talk to him about getting the hard money. He doesn't want to do it. He had credit issues. So these guys will bring you deal. Man, I talk about this all day. This is really not, I know I'm doing this on some free video and it's like, oh, you can just blow this off. I'm telling you, you do these 1 through 3 and you just keep repeating this, you will get fucking rich. This is such an easy thing to go make. I told you who to contact, the people you need. I told you how to find them, all free. Contact one person a day, do a GXM, take one thing off their plate and repeat that again and again and again. Number 4, gradually take over each part until you can do one full deal. So you take one little piece and then eventually take over a whole part. Say, you know what? Why don't I handle the entire scope of work or the entire, finding the subcontractors for the scope of work? Why don't I do that for you? Of course, they're going to love you for it. And now you can gradually do more and more of that until you can do one full deal from beginning to end. You know every part of it. You know exactly how to schedule a scope of work. You know exactly how to get the inspection out there. You know exactly what appraiser to talk to. You know what hard money lender to talk to. You know what kind of time frame to look at. You know how to market for buyers and renters immediately. This is stuff I know people saying, oh, I'm just a wholesaler. Again, don't listen to, I know 99 out of 100 people aren't going to listen to me because they're lazy dickheads. And this is why I'd ask you this question. And I just had this example. I said, if you send out an email to the 150 or whatever, the core investors, and she said, this is a deal and it's like 20 grand. I guarantee you every single person that first of all, the emails get read, like it gets read like 180, 190, 200 times. Not only does everyone open it, they open it multiple times, right? But that deal is moved guaranteed. The biggest commodity you have, the biggest equity you have is your trust. And the reason why everyone hates wholesalers, and the reason why wholesalers don't have great relationships with their people is because they don't do this kind of stuff. You don't trust them. When they say you're going to make 50 grand on the deal, it's like, oh yeah, right. You got to be able to, when you say it, it's got to be true. And when you can do that, this is how you send out one email and you get 40, 50, 100, 200 grand in your bank account instantly that day. I mean, it takes time to do that. You're not sending out an email like that every day. You get what I'm saying? Maybe once a week and you're making 5, 10, 15, 20 grand once a week. If you want to build that machine and build that trust, build that relationship, this is what you have to do. Again, don't listen to anyone unless they can show other people, not themselves, other people that are doing it that they can point to. So gradually take over every part until you can do one fill deal. 5, build a list of 177s and you'll be making 30 grand a month. 177s, you should know what that means. 77s, go through our other stuff on your relationship, your fan base. You have 177s and you will be making 100 grand a month or 30 grand a month. Very simple right there. These 5 steps. That's all you've got to do. Does that make sense? Repeat steps 1 through 3 until you can do steps 4 and 5. So if you're at a place where you can't take over an entire part of a deal, go back through 1 through 3, 1 through 3. Keep doing 1 through 3 until you can do 4 and 5, until you can build that. How long does this take? If you're hungry, you can do it overnight pretty much. If you're a dickhead, it's going to take 75,000 fucking years because you just want to sit around and be a piece of shit. Big secret lesson here, GXM helping people. I know the volunteering part is not something people do. Oh, I don't want to volunteer. I want to make money. I don't want to fucking suck dick all day. Listen, you got to volunteer people. You got to volunteer and help people. If you do this, the energy you have, how many people here have so just about everybody has done a GXM, right? Everyone that's done a GXM, the people that make the most on our team are the people that volunteer the most. Making money is happiness. Making other people is happy. Making money is happiness. Making other people happy is a super happiness. This is Muhammad Yunus did the Nobel Prize he was the inspiration behind Kiva.org, the microbanking, this whole idea of the only good you should do, the only business you should have is some obvious social good. Try to be a rainbow in someone else's cloud, Maya Angelou. This is another famous proverb here. You want happiness for an hour, take a nap. You want happiness for years, inherit a fortune. You want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody. Guys, I shouldn't have to go over quotes on how to help people to convince you to do it. I'm telling you, just doing it itself, just helping people itself. It feels good. Doing small things feels good. Hold the door open for somebody. Just smile at people. It feels good. Get those dendrites firing. Get that high frequency thinking in your life. And then when you can do that, when you can volunteer and actually enjoy the process, none of it is work. You'll build 77s like it's just, you'll enjoy the process of actually doing it. It's exactly right. So we had, you guys said that you had the trees. We just picked up like 100 or 200, he had these 200 Christmas trees and moved them through a trade deal. Anyway, he's going to end up making like 20, 30 grand just volunteering. Hey, do you guys need help putting up trees? Great stuff, you guys. I love that stuff. So is 100K a month really that hard to do? Now, if you're looking at 10 deals, if you look at $10,000 a deal, that's 10 deals, about 2.5 deals a week. I just talked about doing 3 to 4, 5, 6 deals in a week like it ain't no thing. So 100 grand a month really isn't that hard. I've always thought about this quote from Nietzsche. Whoever looks into himself as into an enormous world of space and carries galaxies within him, he knows how irregular all galaxies are. They lead right into the chaos and labyrinth of existence. This wasn't necessarily one of his, lift me up poems, but this idea that when you truly look into yourself, when you actually examine yourself and actually think about all the things that have, not that you've done, but that have been done for you, all the possibility we have, how lucky you are to be alive at this time, to know someone as brilliant as Azam Mayo, right? Just that alone, right? When you take a second to think about that, there are galaxies of potential within you, right? So when people tell me that 100 grand a month is hard, it's like, man, then they get around like, we have heroes doing this, 50 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, 20, whatever number you have, we have heroes doing that. But you know what? That wasn't always the case. So you shouldn't be like, oh, they can do it, I can do it. Although some of that is helpful, but what if they didn't have themselves as an example, right? But when you just truly objectively think about it, making 100 grand a month, there's a bunch of people making a lot more than that. This is not that difficult to go out and build a business that produces 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month passively. Follow these steps and you will have that. Be what you seek. Extraordinary. Before you look at it, we always talk about this when we do our social influence stuff. Guys that always look for like the woman of their dreams. Before you do that, ask yourself, are you the man of their dreams? It's the same thing with wholesalers, investors. How many wholesalers are providing an investor? People say, oh, how do I find investors, cash investors? Man, it's easy. When you take the steps I'm talking about, they're going to come out of all over the place for you. Oh man, did you not move, Mr. Gorgeous? Put them. Oh, we got to stick them up there. Listen to you, man. You don't worry about, be someone who's, the idea is instead of looking for someone attractive, be someone who's attractive to that person. Don't look for the perfect investor. Be someone who's a perfect wholesaler or connector for that investor. Others endured real oppression for you to keep the LC you tolerate. You keep the LC you tolerate. This again, I keep talking about the LC stuff because that's the only reason you're not going to do this. This is one of our favorite all-time quotes. We have this written on there. The whole history of progress of human liberty shows that all concessions yet made have been born of earnest struggle. This struggle may be a moral one or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. It must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. Find out what a people will submit to and you have found out the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. The limits of tyrants, oh my gosh, listen to this. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. This is Frederick Douglass. Guys, this idea of power concedes nothing without demand. There's a lot more implications than just like wholesaling and just like not being an LC. But honestly, people have had to go through like real struggle to create this opportunity. People gave their lives, indentured servitude. My whole life, I'm just going to be a servant to somebody else. They chose that. Slavery wasn't a choice, right? But there was other people that chose, lesser forms of slavery. They did that for the idea that their generations, someone died, someone went through this enormous chaos and things that you couldn't hardly believe. I'm almost the age that my grandfather was when he was in a Nazi prison camp. And I think about that all the time. Like in his mind, he was hoping, and what he did that for was the idea that I could have the opportunity I have right now. And you think about that stuff, man. I'm always amazed when people think, oh, 10 grand a month is too much, 30 grand a month. Do not hear all the fucking this. Look all the deal dissections we do. Guys, this isn't that hard to do, especially if you're hungry and you're grateful and you have the right perspective. You'll be able to do it. It ain't that hard. Now, let's talk about this repeat text and single emails. This is how to start. What do you do when you contact those people? These are the exact ones I said you to copy and paste it. These are the exact ones we're using on our team right now. So text, hi, do you have an internship program or some other way I can help you work for free? I really want to learn the business and would love to help. Love your help. Thanks. Easy, right? Text 2, hello, I texted you earlier about working on an unpaid internship for your business so that I can learn the basics of the real estate business. I'd really appreciate your help in pointing me in the right direction. Thanks, right? So very simple, very easy text, right? And again, what am I doing? Enthusiasm makes up for everything. And if there's a problem, you call them, you talk to them. Hey, I just want to make sure I didn't offend you. I didn't rub you the wrong way. I'd love to, here's what I'm trying to do. Can you help me make that happen? Or how can I help you? What can I do? Can I pick up your laundry or wash your car? Whatever you want. I just want to be around people in the business so I can help and make sure that I'm bringing, people quality income ascension and quality assets that they can acquire and then create better lives for their family. Guys, that's what you want to do. Be honest about it. Don't be, I'm going to get on PropStream and spam all these motherfuckers. Don't do that. Email. Here's an email that we use. This exact email, the $50,000 a week email here. Here it is. Hi there. I was hoping I could work for you with some kind of unpaid internship. Nothing formal, and I'm open to helping you however I can and with whatever you need, like making returning calls, putting up signs, showing houses, doing county records research, stuffing envelopes, mowing lawns, picking up dry cleaning, cleaning around the office, moving furniture, etc. Right? Enthusiasm makes up for everything. Like I said, whatever you need. I'm eager to learn the real estate business. So if you have a better idea, please let me know. Thanks so much for helping. Guys, man, how much brilliance can we contain here? It can be shared here. Do this. It's not that difficult. And these wholesalers, we're going to send them this video, but this video is too long. Oh, fuck. It's too long. All right. In summary, how to not be an LC and wholesale like a champion. If you really want to be, we get questions about wholesaling all the time. So I said, you know what? Let's just sit down. We've got more people on our team here that are killing it with wholesaling and, doing it easily. We should sit down and go like one masterclass. This is what the problem is. This is why you're being a dickhead. This is how to be a badass about it, right? So how to know if you're an LC spam wholesaler and who's about to fail. We went over that. You should know the answers to this. This is like a pop quiz, right? How do you know? It's very simple. Are you spamming people, right? We talked about that. And the secret to wholesaling correctly, these two questions, again, lead generation, or should I be giving these answers? I don't think I should be. Lead generation or relationship building. You either generate leads that nobody else has, or you have a relationship. Actually, I won't answer these questions. You should be answering. So raise your hand if you know the answer. 3 main reasons everybody hates real wholesalers. Yeah, everyone knows that. Upcoming changes in laws that you must know. Just go to ATL. That's coming to a market near you. Wholesaling officially defined for beginners. We talked about that. What exactly is wholesaling, right? From the investors in between the seller and the investor. The wholesalers in between the seller and the investor. The relationships that you must build a wholesale. I went over that list. You need to build relationships with each of those people. Wholesaling officially defined. The 100K a month income immunity test. Here's what did we cover this as much? The income immunity test, really simple. If I wanted to compete with you, how hard would it be? How long would it take? If you're just downloading a list and spamming them, guys, I can do that in like 10 seconds. I can hire a VA. In fact, VAs are so used to hearing this, they'll actively talk to you. Hey, do you want me to spam a bunch of people for you? No problem. I'll do it every day. I don't care because they're going to be in India. They're not going to get, and they're not dealing with your attorney general. They don't care. And the income immunity test is this. If somebody was trying to compete with you, how hard hard would it be to do that? If you go out and you build 177s, I guarantee you nobody's going to compete with you, because I mean, none of you are going to do it, right? You getting 177s, that is your income immunity. And like, look at BigRia.com. How easy is it to compete with Big Ria? How easy would it be to compete with us? We have like 3 to 5 pages. They're going to each be producing over $1 million a year. It is nearly impossible to compete with us. And the level of hustle it would take is so astounding. It becomes its own nobody mounted. The income immunity test is real simple. If you want to get to 100 grand a month, ask yourself this: what do you have that would be nearly impossible to compete with? If somebody wanted to compete with you, they should feel like they're looking up that nobody mountain. Oh my gosh, I could never compete with them. I'm playing against the computer. That's how people should feel. Not all I got to do is get one VA, tell them what to do because they're so used to spamming people, and in one day I'm up and ready to go. Not good. To compete with you should feel like it's going to be a generational marathon to compete with you. 3 characteristics of LC wholesalers. We talked about this. You guys should all know this, right? The only 3 ways to build equity. Well, I'll cover this one again because it's the most important part of this. You either buy down debt, right? You're going to increase equity by buying down debt. Number 2, you increase income, right? It's going to increase the productivity. Or 3, we have, right? So you either increase equity, you increase the value, the liquidity, right? So anytime you increase the value, anytime you increase the income, you increase the value. Anytime you increase the value, you've not necessarily increased the income, but that's it. Buy down debt, increase income, increase value. You got to be doing that of some asset. And when we're not doing that with wholesaling, we need to take that money we're making from wholesaling and convert it. Go to our class on how to buy a company that makes you like 30 grand the next 2 years or whatever. Retire with 30 grand a month of passive income. With companies, we talk a lot about liquidity and productivity if you want to be an active investor. 19 ways to find your fan base. We talk about this, and we actually went over the exact emails to send them and everything else. Guys, it's been a little bit longer than we thought. I love you. Go to BigRia.com. This is how you become a real wholesaler. Guys, I love you so much. You should know that. We appreciate you guys so much. You're making this. We have hockey stick growth happening on our channel with all that stuff every day. But the most important thing is that you're not only creating income essential for yourself, but for other people as well, whether you're doing it through passive or active income. Guys, this isn't that difficult. Get out there, make it happen, change lives. I love you.